All right. Good morning, everybody. I am Mark Sebastian, your only option. This is the Ticker Highlight Show. Andrew is on assignment today, so it's just going to be myself and Alicia J. Leslie, the Queen of the Candles, and we're guiding you through the oldest automaker in the world, Ford Motor Company. The maker of the F-150 and the Mustang and all things, the Taurus, the Escort, the Explorer. All right, so let's start by kind of just digging into some of the fundamentals. You know what's funny is Ford as a $12 stock, it's the same valuation basically as General Motors. People and makes real money, has a low EPS, like GM's EPS is 5.6. Ford's is 13. And then you pull in something, you're saying, wait, how is that possible when a firm like Race has a PE? Oh, it's not popping up. Like it has a PE of a quadrillion. Tesla's 43. Li Auto, the Chinese automaker, is 17. Lucid's worth $6 billion and they don't make money. Rivian's worth almost $10 billion. They don't make money. So how is it possible that these firms that just make money hand over fist are, not really, maybe not a Tesla, but are not carrying a valuation? And it all comes down to debt load, right? This is something I pay a lot of attention to with when a PE isn't, a PE is only as good as kind of the last, where the last, what the other pieces look like that maybe you don't see underneath. And GM has $83 billion of long-term debt. No, I don't want Fiserv. I want Ford Motor. Ford Motor has $100 billion of long-term debt. And that is what kind of holds these ones back. Because if I put in a name like Tesla, people are like, they don't make a lot of money. Yeah, but they're only sitting on $3 billion in long-term debt. And so the value of Tesla is, the money they make is more secure money. It makes people feel more comfortable. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity. What has been up with Livevol lately? It's a little wonky lately, but that doesn't mean that the company doesn't have value. It just means you can't just look at something like price earnings ratio, and say, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. And you've got to look at things beyond just PE and some of the basic numbers they give you. So Ford, in the last 6 months, in the last year, really, is basically unchanged. It did go on a real run last July. But since then, it got all the way down to 948. It's back to 12. Seems a little range bound. Generally speaking, I think on a very long term, it's in a bullish uptrend. But in a short term, kind of in no man's land. Options are relatively cheap, so we're going to be able to do some stuff here. But when I kind of look at the numbers, this is annoying. I want to pull up the numbers one more time, and of course, this isn't letting me. There we go. That's Rivian. I want Ford. But, other things that look positive, again, long-term debt, they do make a lot of money, huge revenue. The F-150 is the backbone. Is the backbone of the construction industry, does pay a dividend. So there's a lot to like in the fundamentals outside of their debt load. So from a long-term perspective, I think if buy and hold, is this something I would add in my portfolio? Probably. But in terms of near term, next 15 to 30 days, I'm going to pass this one off to Leisha and ask her to walk us through the chart.
I see I see a lot of Pintos and all that. Someone else mentioned the Maverick. My girlfriend in high school had an old decrepit Maverick, and we used to call it the bad Mav.
Did you have
and
an
it had
Edsel?
a hole in the floor.
Oh man, did you have an Edsel?
In the floor. It was so bad.
They've definitely had their share of failed automobiles. The Edsel is the Pontiac Aztec of the 70s.
It was the Maverick. I don't know if does Ford make the Maverick? I don't know. We just had the bad Mav, we called it. Anyway, those were the old days.
They were.
Ford, to me, as I wrote up, if anyone read it, it's very boring. Basically a $2 range. A couple of times it traded outside of it. Basically a $2 range going back to, I think it was July of 22. Boring to me. Very boring. And looking closely more recently, not a lot of action. I mean, this looks like a move, but it's not. It's 1307 to 1222. I guess you could scalp back and forth from there, but I have to say, Mark, I thought this was bull flagging. Hard to say now, though. We're kind of selling off a little today. I don't see it moving until it trades over closes over 1305. And then you come in, that's 13 3/4. Up here we have 1530. So above 13 3/4, you may trade 1530. You got to close over 1305 to trade 13 3/4.
All right.
Down here support. We do have the near term support is 1218, and below there is 1070. And I said earlier, no position is a position. Not sure what you were thinking here.
Yeah, so you need to move over 1305, 1350. The options are dirt cheap. I mean, it looks like a decent put sale when I look at it. I do see that the long-term trend generally is kind of bullish, but nothing like, it's not like it's spectacular, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it smells like a diagonal. So it's trading 1270. The July 1280 calls are 62 cents. They're 12 cents out of the money.
Yeah. That's boring. They know it's boring. It's like Pfizer.
Yeah. The question is, can we catch it on one of these mini upswings and make some dough? And, if you buy those July calls, like here's how cheap the options are. The May 13s, you're only getting 17 cents. Yeah. You can't even sell anything against it.
No.
So if you buy a call, you're getting married to a call. If you're a put seller, which I don't hate, the June 7th, 12 puts will bring you in 23 cents. About a 2% yield. But again, it's still $22. Nothing
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
The June 1282 calls are 45 cents. Those have 2 months. That's probably would be the closest thing I would say. Do you see any like real downside risk?
I think 1218, right? Support came in around 1218. You do have the 50-day just below here.
Mm-hmm.
1260.
Yeah, I mean the 50 days at 1260, so you got 10 cents there. The 21's at 1287. If we could get that pop, that 1305 pop, we'd be out of these pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just kind of matters whether we think we can get that break.
As I said, it looked like it was beginning to, trying to bull flag and pop over here over this 1305 resistance. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, I generally think the trend is up.
No position is a position.
I know. I really like those June calls. So here's what we're going to do. We won't, if I kind of like it long, I kind of like the June. I kind of like June calls. A calendar spread maybe makes some sense here. The problem is it's got these adjusted strikes too, which I didn't remember. The June 7th, 13 calls are going to be 33 cents. The May 13 calls are 17 cents. I can buy a 3-week, call it almost a month, right? The 17th through the 21st. That calendar spread is going to cost me 12 cents. I can do that.
I can live with that.
All right. And someone said, well, what does the money flow look like in Ford? It's had its mix of bull and bear, generally speaking. Today, big May put seller. That's not bear. That's the opposite of bearish. Or that's not. That's selling puts is the more passive way of being bullish. And this is loaded with at the money put sales. So I like that. I actually like that calendar. I'm going to put that one out. So the calendar we're going to do, I'm going to do, and here I'm going to steal it back so that everyone can see it. And then I will write. I'll write this out for people to see. We're going to. And that, I'll make this bigger so everyone can see it. I'll make it bold so it looks cool. And there you have it, folks. There is our trade. Oh, you're not seeing my screen? I will reshare. All right. So there is our trade. It's a nice, relatively neutral trade. Taking advantage of the low implied volatility, collecting some decay, leaning a little bit bullish. All right, folks. There is our trade for the day. This was the option pit ticker highlight show. I'll get this sent to Christian so it can go out on the app. And I will wish everybody a happy Monday. So for Alicia J. Leslie, Queen of the Candles, I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a great trading week.